Welcome to Bosleys Military Auctioneers, based here in the Thames Valley in the town of Marlow. We're very pleased to welcome the Armourer to our sale today, and I'm going to give you a quick tour of what we've got on offer. As you can see, we've got a good selection of headdress, and for those that have recently seen the Queen's Jubilee, you'll have seen lots of these being worn, which are popular with collectors both in the United Kingdom and overseas. This is a helmet of the Royal Horse Guards, and this would have been the pattern worn by the Queen's escort during the Jubilee celebrations. You can buy these for around the £700 to £1,000 mark. We've also got a good selection of what's commonly known as the Home Service blue cloth helmet. This particular one is nice. It's actually worn by an officer of the Royal Marine Light Infantry, and this would have been worn during the reign of Victoria prior to 1901. And something like that is probably about £1,000, £700 to £1,000. And for medal groups to be valuable, they don't have to be old ones. This particular one dates from the First Gulf War, and is an Elizabeth II Distinguished Conduct Medal awarded for operations in Kuwait. The recipient of this group was a member of the Special Boat Service, and his task was to lead an underwater attack team into Kuwait harbour, securing it ready for the Allied invasion. What's also interesting is that this gentleman also served with the SBS during the Falklands War and undertook a number of clandestine operations, including the attack on the defences above Bluff Cove prior to the landings by the British forces. The value of this particular medal group, today's estimate is 50 to 60,000 and could quite easily exceed that. In comparison, I don't want to put off Armourer readers from collecting medals because they think they're all high value. You can still get wonderful medal groups at very low value. This particular one, commonly known as a Pip, Squeak and Wilfrid. This is a 1914-15 trio awarded to a soldier in the Great War. And you can still buy these for as little as £40, £50 upwards, depending on what regiment and who they were awarded to. We also have a large section of what we classify as military curiosities, and that can vary. It can be military pottery, presentation, silver, etc. But we've also got in this particular sale a very large collection of very good quality jewellery, which was given to sweethearts, mothers and wives, just to show that they were serving in the forces. And what is particularly nice, that it's an ongoing thing. It is quite common for soldiers now to buy brooches so that their wives and sweethearts can just show the rest of the world that they've got some loved one fighting for Queen and country. Regiments vary and quality vary. You can get from gold, you can get silver ones, and prices can start from as little as £5, £10 and go into the thousands. So it's a very interesting collecting area. Also, we've got military china dating from the Boer War, and this of course was very, very patriotic. Here we have what is commonly known as the gentleman in khaki. He became a symbol of the British soldier serving in South Africa fighting the Boers. And again, it's an interesting area of collecting, which can start from a relatively few pounds. Moving on to collectibles of the Second World War, probably the strongest area of collecting is German items, Third Reich. And we're very lucky to have this item with us today, which is one of the most desirable items of Luftwaffe collections. This is a swastika from the tail section of a Ju-88 bomber that was shot down during the Battle of Britain. They're very rare, and quite often you get a lot of reproductions, which does damage the market, but when a genuine item comes on, then it can command very high prices. This particular example, I'm expecting to sell between 4,000 and 5,000 due to the provenance. This Ju-88 was actually detailed to attack an airfield in Yorkshire, which it successfully did, and was brought down by ground fire. It crashed in a farm, and there are pictures on the internet of this actual aircraft being guarded by members of the Home Guard. And what happened was, the tail section was then removed and presented to the staff of RAF Driffield, which had just been bombed. This particular item then went into the hands of an Air Training Corps squadron, who are now disposing of it to raise funds for a minibus. So, in a roundabout way, it's actually helping modern generation of British people. This is another item that a number of Armourer readers will recognise, but might be a mystery to some. It's actually a tank driver's mask from the Great War. Interesting to note that the tank was one of the most modern items of mechanised warfare, yet the drivers had to wear something that looked like it was from the medieval jousting knights. But they were essential because when the tank was struck by machine gun fire, hot fragments would fly around the inside, and this would be used to protect the eyes, the nose and mouth. And this particular one is in very nice condition, retaining its original ties so you can strap it to your head. This is another interesting item that's been consigned from the family, and this is the walking stick used by Field Marshal Haig, who was Commander-in-Chief of the British forces on the Western Front. And you can certainly visualise him walking around with this stick, deciding where the next attack's going to be. This has come to us straight from the family. It was presented after the death of Haig to his ADC, who was General Sir Douglas Baird, and it's remained in their Scottish home until a few months ago, when they decided it was time to consign it to auction. But it's a very important and historical item. To complement the walking stick, we've also got this print of Field Marshal Haig, which has been personally signed by him, Haig Field Marshal at the bottom there, and this again was given to General Baird as a token of esteem. One of the oldest items in today's sale is this very fine example of a hallmarked silver shoulder belt plate. This particular one was made in 1796 and was worn by an officer of the 2nd Regiment of the East India Volunteer Regiment. This actually falls into two areas of collecting, one as a military item and secondly as an item of silver. And what's very good about collecting things like this is that it should bear clear hallmarks, so you can actually find out who made it, when it was made and where it was made. And then with a little bit of further research you could probably narrow it down to one or two officers that probably wore this actual plate. And to give you an idea where it was worn, I've dug out this miniature of an officer. This was painted in about 1810, and if you look here you can see a similar oval shoulder belt plate being worn.
With commission bids, gosh, we can start this one at £400. Do I see 450, please? 450, anyone? In £400 then, 400, 40, 660, 680, 700, 720, 740, 760, 740 with me then. Any advance on new place, 760. Any advance on £760, going for 760 then, 384, 760, thank you. On to lot 31, which is the 45th Officer Shepherd plate, again different one. Start this with commission bids. I have two commission bids of £380. Who's going to split the tie at 400 for me, please? Anyone? 400, 400, sir. Any advance on £400 in the corner, okay, for £400 then, 400, thank you, sir. On to lot 32, the Nottinghamshire again. We can start this other X plate at £120, so I see 130 please, 130, 140 sir, 150, 160, 170. Any advance on £170, okay, at £170. On to lot number 5 is the King's Own Yorkshire Light Infantry again. Once again, lots of commission bids. We can start this at £400, so I see 420 in a row, 420 sir. 440 with me, 460. Any further bids? £460 in the room then, 460 to 346. Lot number 6 is the 105th Madras. Once again, a lot of commission bids and interest. We can start this at £500, so I see 520 please, anywhere. 520 anywhere? 520, so 540 with me, 560. Any bids over for £560? Okay, for 560 then, in the front row, 560 to 332, thank you. Lot number 7, 51st again, the coin is. This one, we can start with a lot of commission bids in at £1,000. Do I see 1,100 please? £1,100 anywhere? Okay, for £1,000 then, commission bid on to lot number 12, King's Own Scottish Borderers helmet plate. This has caused quite a stir. I can start this one at £1,400, so I see 1,450. 1,450, so 1,500 with me, 1,550. Any advance on 1,500? 1,600, sir. 1,650, 1,700, 1,750, 1,800, 1,850, 1,900, 1,950, 2,000, sir. 2,100, 2,200, 2,003. 2-2 at the front. Any advance on £2,200, going at 2-2 then,